Hello everyone, this is the big one, or the big one for like this month. I feel like there's like a big movie every month coming out, and if there was one for this month, it is definitely Shang-Chi. I'm trying to offend all the people for pronouncing his name wrong, because believe it or not, people are getting offended online that the name is being pronounced wrong, even though in the movie there's a scene heavily regarding about how the name is pronounced wrong, so you know. Not that fun. So it's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I've been saying Shang a lot, but whenever I was with friends, I'd always go Shang-Chi, just because it sounds fucking obvious, more like a joke title. But it's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and it just came out in theaters, only in theaters, not on Disney Plus. Can't rent it, can't stream it. I don't know, maybe in other countries it might be. Definitely not in the U.S. You can't watch it in the U.S. on Disney Plus, so whatever that would be. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere else. Doubt it is. I'm pretty sure it's only theatrical worldwide. And we'll see how that goes. I'm hoping it makes money. I went to go see it in IMAX because I believe that was the way I wanted to see it. I'm going to be seeing it again in a private theater, regular theater, but it's going to be private theater with a bunch of friends. And then I'm going to go see it again, hopefully sooner, in like Dolby or XD, something that's louder. So I can get all the experiences all together, besides 3D. I don't need to see this one in 3D, I feel. So, before going into this was probably, I have Black Widow ranked as my least anticipated Marvel film this year. I had Spider-Man certainly was my highest. Right underneath that was Eternals. And then a little far down was Shang-Chi. There was nothing about the trailers that made me love it. I love the character of Shang-Chi. I love the style. I love the idea of a martial arts Marvel film. The story with the villain being the real Mandarin eventually coming in, or the Mandarin as he likes to just be called, Wenwu, leader of the Ten Rings organization. He has the Ten Rings all the time with him. And I was interested in the idea of that. That alone sounds like a great film. The trailers, for me, didn't do much of that justice. I saw these trailers consistently. I saw the fucking final trailer, the one that most people have seen, I feel like, with Wong and Abomination fighting at the end, that trailer. I've seen that trailer, I think, 55 times in theaters. It's played at every movie I've went to since, like, fucking June or July. Every movie. It doesn't matter the movie I go see, it's been the same trailer that's played every goddamn time I go. And I wish it weren't, because there's, like, eventually a point where you get tired of seeing a trailer that you actually lose interest in the film. Like, that's happening slowly with Jackass. Even though it's Jackass, every time I see a trailer, I'm like, I want to see more bits. Now they're just making me want to see it now. And now that movie got delayed to fucking February, so, you know. With Shang-Chi, I was a little annoyed by that trailer, and the hype had went down. And after Black Widow, I kind of lost a little bit of faith in Marvel. But I still was excited to see it. Like, I was like, oh, this weekend's going to be fun. I have the chance to see Shang-Chi, and I get to go see it with my dad in the IMAX opening night. I'm off work this weekend, so there's a lot of enjoyment. I can talk about it, have a relaxing weekend. And I gotta admit it, this is a fucking awesome film. This is not just an awesome Marvel movie, this is just an awesome movie. Simply, I think it's the best MCU film we've had for sure since Endgame, and I'm gonna get the shit beat out of me. I gave Endgame an 8 out of 10. I think a great score. Overall, it's one of the most hyped films. Like, I can watch it and be like, it's one of the most exciting ones to watch of the MCU. Doesn't mean it's my favorite film in the MCU. It's one of the most exciting to watch. I would say I even like this more than Endgame, if any argument. I adored the shit out of this movie. And we'll get into it a little bit. And, well, obviously we're about to get into it. Let me take more sips of Powerade. I'm tired and had a long work day. So, the film follows this character who we at least know as Sean. That's his American name when he goes to America and leaves all his father and his legacy behind. He just becomes Sean. Shang-Chi, kind of as like a joke. And his best friend, Katie, played by Awkwafina, and they are basically these valet parkers. That's all they do is valet parking type shit. That's their career. And Katie's parents want her to like grow out of that and have real adventures and explore the real world rather than having a low-end job where you just drive cars a fucking few times a day from rich people and take shit from them. That's basically what they want her to grow out of, and they think they want Sean to grow out of that. It's like a small element of the movie. And then Sean, or Shang-Chi's past comes back to kind of haunt him. Little hidden people are trying to steal a pendant that his mother gave him when he was young, and his dad is looking for him, and there's a lot of big stuff that I will not spoil in this review. I hope to do a spoiler review. I want a non-spoiler review, like a 15-minute one here, so I can do a spoiler review on Labor Day once most people have seen it. I'm a feeling if you're going to go see this in theaters and watch a review of it, even if you even watch my reviews, I feel like you're going to have seen it by either Thursday to Sunday, or even on Monday. So Monday night, maybe, I'll try and upload a review while I go see it again. Overall, with just the simple story in mind, I'll go over the things that I loved and the things that I disliked. So I'll start with what I loved. First of all, I fucking loved the action. I think this is the best action we've ever seen in the MCU. That's saying a lot. That means hand-to-hand combat, and even visually, just some of the fight scenes, intriguingly, I think are some of the best action we've ever seen. The big CGI ending battle, while not my personal favorite one, I think Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Avengers Endgame, Infinity War, and that first Avengers film have my big climactic ending battles that I like more. Besides that, the overall action of the entire film, this is the best action I've seen from the MCU. Score-wise, it's still sort of an MCU score, but there's something more unique to it. It feels more... It doesn't have that cliche Marvel score that's like... Doo, 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 or like... Doo, 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 doo. It's not that overhyped orchestra music all the time. In all the fight scenes, it doesn't have that because that doesn't really mesh with these fight scenes. And all of them in simple different styles. Jackie Chan, some Jet Li type stuff in there. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon style. Definitely a lot of Police Story style in the first act. It's like the acts changed the genre of like martial arts and scenes that they kind of go off of, which I really fucking loved and dug that. Which made the action constantly visually entertaining as well as just genuinely well done. Like, you can actually comprehend every fight scene and everything that's happening in the fight scenes. It's never like, oh, that cut too quick. Oh, did I miss that? No, you can genuinely tell what's happening. And it's fucking badass. And I think that's why an audience member who goes to see this is going to have that reaction of, holy shit, the action was great. More than I'm used to from an MCU movie. It's not flying, shooting CGI all the time. There are elements like that, but it's not that all the time. Story-wise, I would say this is... Here's what my complaint was with Black Panther. Was I thought the visual effects were very weak in that third act, and I thought the comedy and action were very weak in that film. What worked really well in Black Panther was its story. The story of Black Panther is so fucking strong, the performances are so strong, but visually and on the entertainment-wise, it's one of the weaker films. That's what I kind of felt dulled down Black Panther. Not a bad film, certainly a good one, but overrated, I felt. With Shang-Chi, I thought that the story was maybe just under as strong as Black Panther, but visually and entertaining-wise is miles above. So when I overall look at this film, I'm going to say, oh, the cinematography better, visual effects better, action better, comedy better. The writing overall just a tiny bit better. Story-wise, might not be as emotional or interesting to that one, but it's easily the second most in the MCU where I've seen a story where I was like, this is emotionally investing, I love our antagonist, I actually teared up at one moment, and at the same time, I'm constantly entertained, even when there's like 30 minutes of this movie that is heavy exposition in this one act. Kind of like the ending of second act, third act, that building point, there's like a ton of exposition. And for some reason, I was never bored. Nor did the flashback scenes bore me. In fact, those are some of my favorite scenes in the movie. And anytime they would go back to them, I was like, holy shit, the heart of the story is like really dark for a Marvel movie and very emotional, and it doesn't go overlooked even for a PG-13 family film that you could take your 8-year-old or your fucking 80-year-old grandma to go see at the film in the theaters. See, anyone's gonna get emotionally invested and have a fun time, and probably not be bored. The only person I can think of who would be bored is like 1 to 7-year-old, 1 to 6-year-olds maybe. They might not grasp voice crack. Grasp some of those emotional moments or the big story beat moments. They might have fun with the action and the comedy, but everything else is probably going to be lowered down for them. The characters, let's get into them. I'll talk about like the main like 5 or 6. So of course, Shang-Chi, or Sean, if you want to call him that, is our new MCU lead. He's a new leading character. You're going to see him pop up in other films besides his own, including having his own, obviously, but he will have other films, and Awkwafina's Katie will also be there. So I'd say is Shang-Chi a great addition to the MCU as a character, specifically him? Does he have that charisma and likability? I would say yes, and with just a small little hint of a no. A small one. This isn't Simu Liu's fault at all. Simu Liu does a great fucking job. I love Kim's Convenience, by the way. If you've never seen Kim's Convenience, one of the funniest shows on TV. Sadly, it's ended. But if you haven't seen Kim's Convenience, excellent show. He's great in that show. I would recommend that show before anything. But in here, he is really good. I do feel that his character has a lot of dark presence, and certainly he isn't like... He's not overly funny and goofy character. Like, there's a lot of Awkwafina has a lot of the punchlines, and some other characters around him add to those punchlines, but I wouldn't say Shang-Chi himself, like when I was watching his characters, like, oh, this guy's really funny or charismatic. I'd say he's enough charismatic, and he's badass to watch fight, and Simu Liu, when it comes to the emotional scenes, does really fucking good. So if you're judging on those elements, he does a great job. Overall, I haven't seen him interact with characters. The big thing is how are the interactions written and how does he perform them. I don't know how his character's going to be interacting with people a lot at this moment, but I have a feeling once we see him show up in a film, everyone's going to be excited because he's a new character that once people see this movie, millions are going to love. I think people are going to really fall in love with the character of Shang. Or Sean, depending on what they call him. I'm sure it'll just be Shang-Chi. That would be kind of weird if they just now called him Sean. Now they're just back in America doing shit. Okay. Awkwafina's Katie. She is definitely going to be a very likable presence. I love Michael Pena in the Ant-Man films, don't get me wrong. He's very funny. But this is more of the type of character I would want Michael Pena to be. A supporting character who's not constantly the butt of a joke or the person telling the joke, like one of the two. I want a character for Michael Pena that's actually well written and actually has something to say and do other than be a joke. Awkwafina genuinely fits in as a character. She has an emotional connection to Shang, and she absolutely kind of loves him. I feel like you could see it minorly in the trailers that they're great friends, but they also might hint at some romantic elements between them, and I love that connection. I think that that's a very good balance to play, and probably relatable to a lot of people, and they're going to feel that relationship when they see the film. And I thought that that was very heartwarming. And I love how she's in this adventure the entire way through. I love how she's not just a side character in that first act for some laughs, and then she's kind of like, alright, Shang-Chi, you go off on your own adventure. Like, no, she's there throughout the film. Maybe she's not the main presence, she's not Shang-Chi, and she's not Wenwu, Shang-Chi's father, but she is a main presence overall in the film. She's definitely the supporting character, you would say. And that's great, that she doesn't take a full backlash to only being in some key scenes of the film. And I love that. I thought that was very great, that they gave Awkwafina that chance. She's funny. Her in the action scenes, she doesn't do a ton of action directly, but she is good with what she's getting to do. And I found every scene that she was in would boost up an average scene to being a great scene, mainly because of her. What? Is it Xiang? I can never pronounce her name. Xiang Z? I don't know. It was something like that. It started with an X and an I and A. It's a Shang-Chi's sister. I don't know why I'm forgetting her name now. Zhang? I don't remember. But her character is pretty good. She definitely needs more development. She feels like the sideline type character. But with what they set up at the very ending, I can tell they're going to do more with her. And overall, for what she has to do in the film, she works. And I thought she was good at the emotional scenes, just as good as Simu Liu overall. Wenwu, Tony Leung. Give Tony Leung a fucking Academy Award for this movie. I know it's a superhero movie, but he doesn't play that character. He is the antagonist, but he has so much heart and emotion in him that in every scene that he's in, I genuinely got teary-eyed, or I could feel where the character was coming from, even if it was in a more dark and violent place. That's what a good antagonist is. That's why Killmonger worked, why Thanos worked, why Loki works. It is exactly why Wenwu works, and why he's probably easily top 3. He's up there. If Loki and Thanos are your top 2, or Thanos and Killmonger or whatever, he would be the butt of that top 3. He's definitely in that top 3. There's no doubt. His scenes are great. His performance is fucking excellent. The ending with him got me very emotional. I'm not going to say what happens, but just in general, his character brought a lot of emotions towards me that I didn't expect to get out of this character, even though I was excited for the Mandarin, the real Mandarin story, I was just curious where they would go with it. And he did a great job. Who are some other of the main? I feel like those are like the main four that you're going to be thinking of when you see this movie. I guess there's like Razor Fist, Death Dealer, a few extra side characters. One that some people have heard online, but if you don't know that this person's back in this movie from a previous film, I will not say it, so people can enjoy who shows up. The person who does show up as a surprise, I would say about an hour in, fucking great. Very good. They definitely play a comedic relief type role, but they're great. And they're not used too much. They're there where it's like, good callback, still funny, it's not shitting on what was happened previously, but it's still shitting on it. Like, it doesn't go like, alright, we're apologizing for it. It's more so like, here's some more funniness with this character, but now that you've got the real version here, and you've got to develop this so much more, it's so hard to say without spoilers, but it does seem like a very funny element and doesn't come across as forceful or ruining of the story or shitty. It comes across as fitting for the film, funny, and he's not utilized too much, who returns. So, good on them. There's these cute little creatures who I don't know the name of them, but there's the main one called Maurice. Maurice, fucking excellent character. Adorable, and yet nothing to be adorable for. But funny as hell as well, that utilization. I think a lot of those moments are going to get big laughs. They got really big laughs from me between Maurice and this returning character. So overall, I do have a few complaints with the ending. I think the ending, just kind of like Black Panther, gets a little CGI heavy. In fact, there is about a 5 to 6 minute period where I was like, alright, this is CGI fucking bonkers. And the CGI, granted, looks great. When the CGI was on screen, I was like, alright, I know that's CGI. It's clearly fucking fake, obviously. It's pretty goddamn obvious. But it looks really good. It doesn't look like the rhinos in Black Panther, like a floppy PS2 blob running at you. Or the train fight scene, when they go underground the trains and the visual effects are clearly not finished in Black Panther. It actually looks visually great. It just did at some point become like a lot where I was kind of bored. I would say there's like in the final 20-minute battle, the big ending climax scene, about 5 to 7 minutes of it really bored me, and I would say about 10 minutes of it really fucking worked for me. Is the trash here? Trash is here already? What? It's a Friday. Okay, whatever the fuck. By my window, so I just heard it and I was like, what? Cheers to the trash people getting here early. Yeah, the ending battle to me is mostly great, some parts weak. And that CGI does become a little overdoing. Exposition moments can drag on a little too long. I do think that this movie is the perfect runtime. I don't think I could have seen anything getting cut down, but I could have seen exposition being done quicker, or maybe not as in detailed, but it overall worked for me. I was still very entertained and consistently enjoying the film. I never found myself sitting there bored. Does that make sense? I was never bored watching this film. I just simply felt at scenes were slower than others. Some of the visuals and the huge CGI battle parts. This is a spoiler. The Great Protector's in the trailer. The Great Protector, aka the dragon. Some of the dragon scenes I felt were very not as entertaining because it was just so much CGI heavy that I didn't feel the stakes. It just felt like crazy fucking awesome shit. It looked awesome, and at the ending with what happened, Shang-Chi's like final blowing move at that ending was fucking awesome, and it was like a great score to go at that moment, and it was really cheerful moment if you're really getting into the character of Shang-Chi. But overall, I felt some of the action near that last 20 minutes was a little bogged down. That's like my biggest complaint though, was that, and then some exposition and some slower parts, like a few pacing issues, but barely any. That was like basically my complaints with Free Guy. I had a few pacing issues. In the third act, got a little boggled. Some things needed more explanation. Some things didn't need too much explanation. I wouldn't say the CGI was the problem with Free Guy, or that the battle at the ending went on too long. In fact, the giant ending climactic battle, Free Guy is like the best part of that movie. But that's my minimal complaint with Shang-Chi. I've been saying in my head that I'm gonna need to see it again. So I'm gonna score it for now, but I will do an update in my spoiler review, and it's between two scores. It's really because I'm trying to think of if I adored it as much as I did, or if there's just a tiny bit holding it back. I'm going to have to see. It depends on how it holds up on repeated viewings, because some parts that I may have not liked as much, or the big dragon fights near the ending, or some of the exposition might bore me more on the second viewing, or actually it could elevate things. Who says it couldn't be better or just as great as I think it is? I think that either way, this is maybe, honestly, top 5 MCU, and that's saying a lot. This is the 25th MCU film, and if we're going with the shows too, this would still make my top 5 probably. This is an excellent film, and a great MCU film, and it's going to entertain the shit out of anyone who sees it. I cannot wait to go again, probably 2 more times this weekend, because it was so damn good, and I was impressed and blown away, and I'm glad to say that I have an MCU film that I can finally sit here and go, fuck yes, again and again. This isn't Far From Home, which I thought was pretty good, and this isn't Black Widow, which I thought was eh. Black Widow, every time the more I think about it, the more it goes down, which sucks, because I guess it was just that forgettable in almost every aspect. But don't worry, this has great action, great comedy, and a great villain-antagonist, unlike everything in Black Widow, which did not have those things. So, overall, I'm going to give Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings a strong 9 out of 10. I'm going to give it a strong 9 out of 10. I'm going to say that this was heavily entertaining, fucking badass. It never bored me. I was constantly invested. Minus, again, never bored me, minus like 7 or 8 minutes where I thought things were running on a little too long with the CGI battles and a little bit of exposition. But I was still interested. Maybe a little less interested than I was in other scenes and a little less entertained, but I was always interested in what was going to happen. I didn't know. Believe it or not, the trailers for this, I think they show a lot story-wise of what you might think from the characters, but they're also hiding so much that you are not expecting, and I think a lot of people are going to have a lot of fun with the big surprises and the action scenes. Like, seriously, some of them go on so long. The bus fight that's hinted in the trailer, I swear to God that scene was like 9 minutes. Maybe I'm wrong, but that scene went on for a long time, and it never got boring. It just kept getting ramped up with the action, with the comedy, with the visuals, and with where this is going to lead the story. It genuinely had me interested, like a mystery film for a moment. So, Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings, 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 rings. If only I had that final ring, god damn it. I recommend everyone go out and see it this weekend if you feel safe enough to go to theaters. If not, it has to be day one once it hits home, because he's going to be an important character to the MCU. I have a big feeling he's going to be a character that you will love and that everyone will joyously love. And I cannot wait to see what they do with this character again. So yeah, Simu Liu, great job. Awkwafina, great job. Shout out to the director. Is it Destin Daniel Cretton? Yeah, who did, what were the 2 movies? Fuck. I'm trying. I know for sure one of them. Just Mercy. And, yeah, Just Mercy is the only one I can think of off the top of my head. That sucks. I'm trying to remember the other one, which is also great. But yeah, Just Mercy, great movie. It's crazy to see him doing a martial arts Marvel action film. Going from a hardcore court case, jail, racial-themed drama. So, great movie. Everyone go check out Shang-Chi. And stay tuned for the spoiler review, where I can get into way more detail, and it will be a more fun conversation. And I will probably not have a Powerade, so goodbye! Okay, so happy to admit I have now seen the film 3 times now. 4. I'm about to see it 4 times on Monday, so tomorrow. I'm going to see it a 4th time. I have now seen it 3 times, and I can confirm that between 8.5 out of 10 and a 9 out of 10, it is a 9 out of 10 for me. So, in case anyone was worried about my score changing, it's a 9 out of 10. I love it. So, yeah, 9 out of 10, official score. Spoiler review possibly tomorrow after I see it a 4th time. Maybe I'll get some friends' reactions. I don't know. Bye.
Is this what you wanted?